Hey, this is Xerus. I'm going to be breaking down a gameplay clip with, we've got a squad of 4 guys running 2 harassers, so I'm driving the one that you're seeing in the center of the screen, Omnibacon's gunning for me, and then we've got Wide Wave and Bother is driving the other one, Gun by Buko. They're dead at the moment as the clip starts, but they'll be spawning up and showing up later on. Situation-wise, we're at Howling Pass. We've just come down this canyon from NS material storage. Fairly common flank route, but tends to be pretty effective. This is like an AA nest or something. They don't really matter. Got a couple friendly buses. Those are basically dead. We've got this lib who never shows back up. As I'm coming in, I'm sort of hiding behind these rocks up here. So there's some stuff down. There's like a lightning down here. It'll show up on minimap in a sec. I'm just keeping out of vision of whatever's down there. Okay, so first thing we do as we come in is we spot this lightning. Let me back this up just a sec. Yeah, so just take a quick look at the name. I don't recognize it, so we're pretty much just gonna go in and figure we can take them. That tends to just work on solo lightnings, whose name I don't remember.
We're good.
Okay, so we spend most of that sitting in the back arc, so in his rear quadrant where we're doing double damage. I'm also keeping moving in case he does turn around and shoot us, but instead he just drives up the wall and then bails. So when he jumps out, he starts shooting at us. It's just small arms, so I'm pretty much going to ignore it. We go around and we're going to take this bus next.
Land it on the vehicle pad.
Do the bus.
And merge inside of it.
Bus is burning. Bus is burning.
Ooh, it's double XP, what?
Okay, so there are a few different things happen. I make a small positioning mistake. So rather than just getting turned around immediately, I pull in next to the bus. That means I actually need to pull back out and then turn around, which is going to be quite a bit slower than doing like a J-turn would be. The other thing is I try to get a run over on the medic who was back here, but I see this ant coming, and so I just run, rather than trying to... Once I get hung up on that rock, I just need to run. I can't hang around and try and get that kill.
Oh wow, yeah, 156.
Okay, so at this point, we saw that ant. My gunner initially called that as a target, but then he switched onto the harasser. That's because the harasser is a bigger threat to us at the moment. The ant wasn't shooting, and he's pretty far from us, where that harasser is closer, shooting at us. Generally a bigger threat. I'm not actually expecting to win this against an Apollyon. They do more damage. They have better DPS against harassers in particular. I think the Mjolnir is slightly better against heavy armor. They're also more effective at range because they have a better projectile velocity and they don't have any drop. But for whatever reason, this guy just runs away. And we go hide back here behind this rock.
So you got an ant heading towards you guys, also a harasser, and the lightning.
The smoking ant front, I think.
Okay, so I wasn't expecting to get a full repair there, so I was keeping an eye out over the rock to the right and glancing over this way a bit, like to the left of the harasser. That's mostly just in case somebody does show up and get us. I was expecting somebody to, but nobody chased that hard.
Oh, that harasser.
Okay, so there, Bother, the driver of the other harasser, is calling a shot. He initially called a shot on the ant and then realized it was the harasser that was smoking, so that's what he's shooting. We're trying to get in and get on them, but I'm staying away from this ant, just because of the risk that it'll ram us, and probably it could just instantly destroy a harasser if the physics aren't in our favor. And even if they are, we're still taking a fair chunk of damage if it hits us. So Bother's called the target on the harasser for his gunner. I'm trying to join him, but that's not actually going to happen. Yep.
Dead.
Okay, so there are two things. The gunner of the other harasser calls out first that he hit his shot, which you need to do in with a lot of the single shot weapons because you can't. There's a combination of server lag and client-side hit detection. It means that the driver can't reliably tell what shots actually hit. So typically the gunner will call it out. The other thing is he calls out that it's dead. Again, you can't reliably tell what hit or not, and often the drivers are looking the other way. So that also tells us who aren't necessarily looking at the same target that it's dead.
Lightning.
Lightning veil.
He's an input.
Okay,
super
that
lucky.
ant flag.
Okay, so that's dense. Comms wise, we call the target on a lightning. Both harassers try and get rear armor on it. That works. That's why we end up so bunched together. We call lightning's dead, that the gunner bailed, which is important because that the driver bailed. We don't know. We don't initially know if he's got C4 or if he's a heavy or whatever. He could be something actually threatening. When my gunner calls that he's an infiltrator, that means we don't need to worry about it quite so much. Then I get the run over and it's just fine. If he'd been carrying an explosive bolt crossbow, we would have needed to figure that out and get going, because that will just shred harassers. The other thing that was called was that the ant is really laggy, which makes him actually more threatening to us because we can't quite tell where he is. So he could rubber band into us, or depending on just how laggy he is, he could be like teleporting. And if either of those happens, then we get blown up by a ram that we weren't able to do much about. So we just roll.
Ant down.
Again, we call the ants down. I actually turned a little early there. It would have been better to stay on that course outwards a little longer. I think what I was expecting there was that they were also running a Mjolnir, but they're running a halberd, which is going to slow that time to kill a bit.
And then lightning on
Red
road.
west. Incoming.
Okay, so the other gunner calls that this is a rep bus, so proximity repair, which makes this lightning a lot more dangerous because it'll raise our time to kill on him by probably like 4 or 5 seconds would be my guess. At this point, I don't know what gun that lightning's carrying, so I'm just going to keep running this out onto the plains and not stay and engage. It turns out he's actually a Skyguard, which would mean we could have stayed and fought and probably won.
It's gonna be right in front of you guys.
Skip that, just run out on the plains.
This is Skyguard.